everybody, once again to our Kent State Football Weekly Press Conference with head coach Kenni Burns. Coach, just again an opening statement putting EMU to bed and looking forward to returning home for Buffalo.
Yep. First of all, EMU game obviously disappointed with the loss there, but we got better as a football team in areas. The one thing I'll say about year 0 or year 1 is everybody kind of grows at their different times, and I said that in my post game press conference. There's a lot of guys who played extremely well in that game that earlier in the year did not play as well, but they learned, they grow, they got better, and that's what this program's all about. There's other guys that learned in that game and some of their first opportunities to play. They made some mistakes, some errors that they'll grow and they'll learn. And that's the tough thing about the first year. It kind of works in different stages, and then eventually the whole team gets there at some point for sure. And that's why from the beginning I've kind of said not worried about the result at all. I'm worried about our consistent growth as a football team, and I think we're for sure getting there. When you look at the game, obviously, looking at it defensively. I thought our defense got better. They played well. You look at it, the first 5 drives, they were 3 and outs, in the game, or 5 out of the first 6 or something like that. So it was outstanding on the defensive side of things, getting off the field, giving the offense a really good field position. I think we were 5 for 15 on third down, which was better than the week before. Only 3 explosive plays. We stopped the run. We got a takeaway. The guys were playing hard. They were swarming. The one thing is we talk about the middle 8. Or the middle 12. And basically what that is the last 6 minutes of the first half and the first 6 of the second half. Being able to win that and really create separation in the game or shrink a game and make it in your favor. And we didn't do that. And we haven't done that 2 weeks in a row now. And we got to find out why. Because we're starting fast, we're finishing strong. But if you look at it in our drive chart defensively, 5 3 and outs, then we give up a touchdown right before the half. Give up a touchdown to start the second half in the first possession. And then here goes 3 more punts. So those 2 possessions, what's going on, what's happening there. Offenses are obviously settling in and finding a couple things they like, but how can we as coaches first and foremost be better, and then as players. And then you look at the offensive side of the ball, just really too inconsistent. We had 8 drops. I believe we were 4 for 18 on third down, 1 for 2 in the green zone or red zone, and then we also 1 for 3 on fourth down, which I'm an aggressive coach. I'm going to be aggressive. We've got to do a way better job of handling those situations and so forth. So overall, learning opportunity for us as an offense, as a defense, and in the kick game, but a lot of positives and a lot of things to build off of for sure.
Well, let's open things up for questions, and let's start out with Dan Richardson. Dan, would you unmute and ask your questions for Coach?
Coach, what have you seen from Jalen Thomas the past couple of weeks in his running ability? I know you're a running backs coach yourself prior to being at Kent State. So what have you seen from him the past couple of weeks?
He's running behind his pads. I think he brings a level of physicality that we're looking for in the run game. It doesn't have to be blocked perfectly for Jalen, and you're seeing him be able to make people miss in space and keep the plays going and keeping us on schedule with the 4 yards of carry pop. And I'm impressed with Jalen so far. I think he's got a lot of room to grow and winning on the third level and making safeties miss and stuff like that. But he's doing a good job of managing the game. And I think that sometimes at running back, people don't understand how we manage the game. And we got to do a good job at that. By managing, I mean staying on schedule, getting 4 yards of carry, and knowing when to just stick it in there and take what you can instead of trying to always hit the home run. And he's doing a really good job with that. And we just got to get Gavin on the same page as well of doing that. And he's done it at times, but he's got to be way more consistent. He'd be the first one to tell you that.
Coach, I know Tommy got the majority of the snaps against Eastern Michigan, threw a couple touchdown passes. So going into this week, what's going to be sort of the communication between your 2 quarterbacks and Tommy Ulatowski and Michael Limo?
Yeah, I think you'll see them both again like you did in the first half. They both will play different roles. Last week I think what you saw was the way the game was going. I thought it was better to give Tommy the second half and see if he could use his legs a little bit more and in situation where the conditions weren't great for throwing the ball, so we could use him, and we did. But we'll try some things out this week to get both involved. I think they both bring different elements to the game. I think they have a great relationship, and they compete with each other, not against, which I love, and I know our team respects both of them. So we'll find a way to utilize them both, and if one gets the hot hand, we'll go with that guy throughout the game. So I like both of their growth. I think they both need to play better than what they played on Saturday, and I think they, like I said, be the first ones to tell you. But they're both moving in the right direction for sure.
And lastly, Coach, is there anything new you learned about your team against EMU that you can take into this week as a positive?
Yeah, I think they fight. The one thing I won't question is how hard they play. They play really hard, and that's very evident on tape. That they play through the whistle, that they want to finish plays, that they are attempting to make the plays. I think the one thing that we've got to do a better job of is just our attention to detail. I think that's where we messed up and had some miscues. But we look at especially our defense, how hard they're playing, how much they're swarming to the ball, how they're playing for each other. It's something that typically it takes a couple years to build that, and these guys are doing that right now. So if we can clean up our miscues, I think we've got a really good shot to win some games here down the stretch.
Well said.
Thanks.
Let's go over to Marshawn Powers from Believe Land Media. Marshawn, if you'd unmute and ask your questions for Coach.
Coach, obviously you've been on the road for the past 2 games. Just kind of what's the energy with the entire team for homecoming weekend this week?
I think they're excited to get back to Dick Stadium. That's the one thing. Yesterday in our team meeting, we talked about just coming back home for homecoming and what it really means to our fans, our student body, our team, and I think the guys understand that, we've had a couple blunders here and lost a couple games, and there's no better way to put it kind of back in the right path by coming back home and playing a really good Buffalo team, but playing in front of your crowd, your fans, your atmosphere, and what you know. And I think these guys are going to have a great week of practice. It started yesterday, and I think you're going to see a great energy on Saturday. And I know our fans are going to come out, and I believe it's a gold out, come and have some energy as well, and hopefully it's a great college atmosphere that we can find a way to pick up a win.
So my last question is, coming into this game, Buffalo is a good team. I consider you guys a good team. What is just like some challenge, not challenges, but what are some things that you kind of feel like that you guys have kind of missed on last few weeks that you feel like the team will or can't hit on this week against Buffalo?
The biggest thing I think we got to do a better job of is attacking the game. I look at it and, people probably wondering why I kicked the onside kick, and I've gotten a lot of text messages about that. But we saw something on tape, and it was there, and we executed, and we wanted to go attack the game right away, and set a mode for the game, and we've got to do that in all phases of the game. And I hope they follow my lead with that. Like, let's go attack the game, because there was a couple times where we've got really good field position in the first half on offense, where I didn't think we had enough attack mindset. Let's go take a shot. Let's go. Go score and put this thing and finish a drive and so forth like that. So I think that when we get that kind of identity of attacking games, attacking situations, attacking plays, I think our success will come. So that's the biggest thing. I think we got to flip the switch there a little bit. We kind of wait to see what's going to happen instead of going out and making the play or making the play call work, no matter what it is. So that's the biggest thing I want to see from our team moving forward. And I think we talked about that last night, and we're doing some things in practice to address that.
Thank you, Marshawn. Let's go over to the voice of the Golden Flashes and Rob Polinsky. Rob, if you'd unmute, ask your questions for Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Coach, I was wondering, how encouraged were you by the improvement of the running game overall? Saturday, it was kind of the first game that we had weather to deal with. Obviously, the weather that's going to happen in Northeast Ohio going forward.
Yeah.
How encouraged were you by it, and how important is that going to be moving forward, getting the running game going like that?
It's a big part of it. I'm a true believer in running the ball. You couldn't find a more happier guy when you saw a 15-play drive going on. That's kind of my type of style, being with P.J. Fleck and old school trestle ball, and you shorten the game by running it, and you protect your defense, and you keep them off the field, and I just believe in it. So we've got to do a better job of finishing the drive, but I think you saw growth up front. I think, like I said last week, I think we found our 5 guys that are going to be our offensive linemen for a long time, to be honest with you. And when you look at it, the exciting thing for me, and I know that doesn't always show, but you look at our O-line, we've got 3 freshmen starting inside. You typically don't play young guys in the O-line. We've got a true freshman starting at center, a freshman starting at left guard, a freshman starting at right guard, and those guys are getting better each week. And I credit them to the growth of the run game. And along with, Cam and Jim Toe, I think we're doing a really good job of developing up front, and that's a credit to Coach Limegrover and what he's doing. And then, I think JT fits what we're doing right now, running the ball with the zone game and the inside zone, outside zone. It works for him. And I think the coaching staff just did a really good job of simplifying the game plan. You know, they really we're not doing nearly as much as we were doing at the beginning of the year, and we're just trying to let these guys fly off the ball and you know see their keys and execute their alignment and assignments. So I'm encouraged. Still got a long way to go, but definitely trending in the right direction.
And then moving ahead to this week with Buffalo, it looks from the outside, you know, obviously they're capable. They've had a couple of big wins. It looks like maybe a little bit inconsistent. You know, what can you tell us about them, and what are some of the big concerns heading into Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's a really good Buffalo team. Honestly, I think their record isn't showing who they are. I think there's a lot of games that they were in that, you know, like us, you know, just got to do a better job maybe finishing. But they're a very talented group. I know their head coach very well. We were together at Minnesota as assistants, and I can see what he's building there. He's trying to establish a culture that is a sustainable culture that wins over time, and he's definitely doing a good job moving in that direction for sure. And what he did last year, and just the way they're trending. And again, if they put the pieces together, they're a very, very good football team. We've got to come out here and expect them to put the pieces together and be at our best. But they've got tons of challenges. I think they're very talented on defense. They've got a lot of guys that can get around the ball and make plays. They've created a ton of turnovers. I think their defensive coordinator does a great job of putting guys in position to make plays. And then offensively, I think they're attempting to find their identity, but they've got an experienced running back who does a great job of breaking tackles and keeping plays alive. They've got big athletic receivers who do a really good job. We're going to have to cover them well. But like anything, it comes back to us. And we got to be at our best, playing our best football come Saturday. And that's my challenge to these guys. No matter who we play, it's about us changing our best, getting better each week, and each guy learning from the game before and finding a way to be at his best the following Saturday. So very good team, very well coached. Like I said, got a lot of respect for their coaching staff and what they're doing and what they're building. And you can see the pieces starting to get into place for them for sure.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
And last, certainly not least, let's bring in Tom Evans, Rob's partner in crime in the booth.
Hey, Coach, how's Cam? I know he came out for a series or two. It looked like he went back in a little bit later. Did you come out of and now, how's the health of the team overall right now?
Cam Golden, you're asking? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's fine.
Yes.
Oh, he's fine. He was fine. Came back
Okay.
in, did a great job, and he'll be full go on Saturday. And you know what? Honestly, I think we're in pretty good shape. There's some guys that are obviously out. Caleb Johns is out for the year. You know, Matt Harmon is battling to get back, but, you know, he's questionable for Saturday. He's been battling an injury. You know, but for the most part, those guys have been out anyway, so it's not a surprise anymore. But for the most part, you'll see everybody you saw on Saturday. There's nothing that came across my desk that was alarming at all. But I think, you know, we've got to find a way and we'll do some things in practice to maybe take off the hitting a little bit, get guys back to playing at a high cap where they're feeling good about their bodies and their energy and so forth. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with our athletic training staff and what they've done and keeping our guys healthy.
Yeah, you just kind of led into my next question. You're about halfway through the season. Do you change up routines at all at this point, or is it just, you know, stay in the course with some things and grinding through some things?
Yeah, you're
How
probably
are you looking at that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big believer. I've been around for a while now, in that this time of year, who manages their roster better can lead to success down the stretch. You want to give your guys a chance in November to be at their best and feel healthy. You know, the season's a long season, so we will adapt some things and change some things in practice, probably more so after this week, you know, as we get into the 10-day span, you know, going into the school down the road. But this week it's pretty traditional with a couple tweaks here and there. You know, we did not practice yesterday as much as we typically do. You know, we more so met and spent more time in the meeting room. But going forward, definitely we'll pick and choose our moments when we're, you know, hitting each other and when we're going against each other and so forth, and make sure these guys are healthy come Saturday.
Yeah, and Coach, it looked like you know, people have been bringing the house at you when it comes to blitzes, and it looked like they picked up the blitzes a lot better this week. Is that more about continuity, or is that a change in scheme up front?
Well, I'll tell you this much: if I was playing us and I saw 3 freshmen inside, I would bring the house too. So, I mean, see how good these guys are. But I think just with repetition, those 3 guys have done a better job of picking it up and seeing it. And like anything, you see stuff over and over again. Eventually, you're going to have an understanding of where to go. Your eyes are going to be just a little bit quicker to seeing it. And I think you saw that on Saturday. I think, you know, Drew Page and Farrell and Dusty, they all kind of saw things way better than they did the first couple games, which is what you want, you know. And I knew that would come, and I knew that's part of it. And like anything, it's crazy. You see the same blitzes week in and week out, and you're wondering, like you do your scouting report, you're like, well, that blitz wasn't on in their thing, and you start to notice that they're putting it in to see if you figured out how to pick it up yet. So they're doing a good job, and they keep growing. And like I said, each week is just growth up front for us. There's no result that we're looking for. Just can we get better than we were the week before? And I think we're definitely doing that with our offensive line.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Coach. Any final thoughts as we look forward to homecoming against Buffalo?
Big homecoming week. Hopefully the Kent State faithful are out there. I know the team's excited to be back in Dick Stadium. I appreciate all the support from our fans and our student body, and we need you this weekend. So be there, be loud, be proud, and go Flashes. Kent Grit. Thank you.
All right, Oliver, just a kind of a quick opening statement. Your thoughts on the growth of the season with the defensive line and the defensive unit here so far?
Definitely. Coming from a defense last year that struggled a lot throughout the entire season, this new staff came in the winter. High hopes, was really ready to buy into the process. I'm really happy with where we're at, and that all comes down to the guys around me and the coaching staff preparing us well. Still have the same D-line coach that I did last year, Coach Farrell, and he's really taken a step up, I think, in this year, just getting us prepared, and I think our D-line's taken a tremendous step in growth.
Let's open it up for questions. We'll start with our sideline man and Dane Richardson. Dane, any questions for Oliver?
Oliver, Coach Burns talks a lot about your defensive effort, how you guys each week on that side of the ball give so much toward it. So what do you think has instilled that type of effort in the defense?
It comes back to consistency every single day. If you were at one of our practices, you would see like the coaches are very, very hard on us in a good way. They coach us on effort every single day, grade us on effort every single day, and that's just been the biggest thing is accountability, I think, because I've been in a lot of different like sports and stuff like that over my years, and like that comes when you're working with 18 to 24-year-old kids, like they don't really realize that the consistency and accountability every single day holding us to that kind of standard, what kind of difference it makes, and it's really shown over this past couple weeks.
The defensive line has been a bright spot this year for you guys. So how do you think your unit as a whole has grown over the course of the season on that front?
I think the biggest thing is just leadership and accountability. Once again, like you got a guy like CJ West who's been in the program for a couple of years, and he's really taken the sword over, or the torch over, you could say, in terms of leadership and leading with everything that Coach Farrell says in terms of just carrying it on to us younger guys. When we got a very young room besides him, and we only got one senior in the room that came in, so he's technically he's newer to our group as this is his first year here. And so I feel like that's been a big thing is him like taking the torch from the older guys last year and carrying it on, and just as a whole we're starting to come a lot closer now.
A tackle for loss against Eastern Michigan, had 4 other tackles to go along with that. So how would you describe your style of play, Oliver?
For me, it's just like I try to just play as hard as I can. It's what the coaches have taught us, and I got to give credit to them for taking my talents and putting me in a situation to be the best I can be. As I've always, like, I'm new to the position as D-line, as I never played it in high school. I was a quarterback and linebacker in high school, so this is all new to me. So they've really helped me get to where I could be now, and just constantly, once again, keeping me accountable, being on me about being the best I could be.
Also,
Thanks, Dane. Well, let's move things over to Marshawn Powers from Believe Land Media. Marshawn, any questions for Oliver?
Yes, Oliver, I heard you saying that, the defense wasn't really the greatest last year. This year's much different. Just talk about, some of the biggest differences that you've seen, whether it's coaching, whether it's players, whether it's how you guys just buying into what's going on this year. Just talk about the major differences that you've seen from last year compared to this year.
Obviously, like with the new staff coming in the very beginning, things are difficult. Things can be chippy, as everybody might not agree with what the coaches are saying. But over time, especially in spring ball, the growth was unbelievable. Coming into fall camp, we really took a step in the right direction, I feel like. And the coaches started preaching from day one being player-led. And so taking those types of lessons and stuff like that and pushing each other, not only from our coaches obviously push us every day, but as players holding each other accountable and really making sure that we're giving best effort every moment we can give, every practice rep, treat it like a game rep, make it like a championship game. And I feel like that kind of mentality has really switched the culture defensively here for Kent State.
And my last question, Buffalo kind of struggles on third down. Is that kind of one of the emphasis that you guys have been working on this week to, force them off third down, whether it's third and long, third and shorts, try to, get them off the field as quickly as possible?
In this program, third down is one of the biggest points as a defensive room. Like, that's how you get off the field. As a defensive lineman, you get the most excited on third down because you really get to key up to rush the passer. But since day one, I mean, you talk about, we do sticks, which is like the line of game where they need to get the first down. Fist, when we stop them on a fourth down, that's something that's absolutely mandatory when it comes to our defense, and it's something that's talked about every day. We talk about the stats of third down, everything you can imagine when it comes to third down. So third down is a key point. We have a full day that focuses on third down defensively on Wednesday, so that's a really big key point for us every week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marshawn. And let's go over to our radio booth and Rob Polinsky. Rob, any questions for Oliver?
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Oliver, last year, obviously you got in some as a freshman and did well. This year you've taken it to another level. Can you talk about personally your growth and why you're playing so much better? Is that just a natural progression from going from a freshman to a sophomore?
That's obviously the biggest jump, they say a lot of times when it comes to sports, but I got to give a lot of thanks once again back to the coaches for just taking the time and taking all the energy to put into me and make me the best player I could be. I couldn't ask for a better coach and position coach-wise out of Coach Farrell. He's, since day one, it's the reason why I came here in terms of how he was always straight up with me and he always pushed me to be the best I could be. He's kind of a harder-nosed guy, and I always appreciated that. And then just Coach Burns stepping in as a new coach, seeing the talent in me and really pushing me, it's been a blessing, and I truly believe that's why I am where I am today.
There were times Saturday up at Eastern, you guys just dominated them. You dominated their offensive line. The quarterback didn't do much. You guys, for most of that first half, just really were playing lights out. Was there anything that you noticed in their two drives at the end of the half and at the start of the third quarter that kind of got Eastern Michigan going? But, is there anything you can do about that in the future, lessons learned, going forward?
It's something that we've talked about a lot as a defense and as a team in general, is we started talking about the middle eight, which is the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. It's our biggest struggle right now, and we just got to find ways to stay engaged in the game, I would say, as we have some success early on, and then we start maybe taking off the gas a little bit, and our juice isn't there necessarily, and our energy. And we just need to find a way to maintain that through as we finish strong in a lot of these games, but we lose ourselves in the middle, and it's hurting us in the end.
Thanks, Oliver.
No problem.
And lastly, Tom Evans, Rob's partner in crime. Tom, any questions for Oliver?
Yeah, Oliver, I'm an old wrestling coach and a line coach, and I used to love my wrestlers as defensive linemen. Tell me how some of those skills translate for you from the wrestling room to the defensive end spot.
So my father wrestled Division I when he was in college and everything like that. And as a kid, I started wrestling when I was 2 years old, and that was his thing. He thought I was going to wrestle the whole way up through, and there was a point where I thought I was going to end up wrestling in college. But he would have loved that question, and he says it all the time that's the translation and everything like that. But I would say the biggest thing is for me is just from a mentality standpoint and a maturity standpoint, understanding that you gotta take things on yourself and take accountability for yourself when you don't have a good day or you lose and stuff like that. And then the other thing is the toughness aspect of it. Wrestling's not an easy sport, and neither is D-line, so that's definitely helped me in terms of a day-to-day process. And then the last thing, technique-wise, D-line's all footwork and hands, and that's very similar to wrestling. So I say I got to give a lot of credit to that sport and my father for bringing me up with that sport, for helping me. It ended up working out in the end with D-line.
That's great stuff. Defensive lines, they kind of get cult-like, where they're inseparable. And I think that, are you guys that way? I mean, I take a look at warm-ups, and CJ's got a little bump going. Are you guys really tight on and off, both on and off the field?
Absolutely, and I got to point back. I mean, one of my best friends is on the line, Stephen Daly. We came in the same class. Me and him are very, very close. Me and CJ are very close, and then it's always fun because in that group there was a lot of really healthy competition this year, which I think brought us even closer because like I said, we were super young, a lot of new faces coming in. The only returning starter was CJ, and so I feel like that competition led us to be a lot closer, and I feel like our room has taken a big step in terms of that as well.
Great stuff, Oliver.
Oliver, thank you again for a few moments of your time. Lastly, just talk about the hype surrounding homecoming, being able to stay home for a few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to feel good to get back in Dick Stadium. Super excited for that. It's always good to be in front of the home crowd. Homecoming weekend, obviously a big game, so hopefully see a lot of fans out. Super excited for that. And coming into playing a team like Buffalo, it's a very solid squad, and they're going to be a tough opponent to beat, especially after the game we had last year. It was an absolute dogfight. Thankfully, we came out with a win, so I feel like they're going to come in hungry to this game, so I'm very excited to play in the game.
Thanks again, Oliver, for a few moments of your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. This concludes this week's press conference. It'll be posted to our media outlets as per usual. And once again, we look forward to seeing everybody on Saturday inside Dick Stadium.